Hey, welcome back to the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking. I'm Susie Botello, your host, and this is episode 162. Hey, I've got a special message for all of you. If you sign up to our newsletter, you'll get the message. I want to let you know this episode is our anniversary edition for the SBP Podcast. 6 years, 162 episodes. This is crazy. Also, just want you to know that I'm working on something really cool. Go to our Patreon page and sign up for free. I've turned that button on because they've done something really cool. They said, hey, you guys want to work and build your community here as opposed to trying to build it in all these social media sites with all those crazy algorithms and control freaks running them. Instead, we're opening this up. So go to Patreon. If you're already a member, let me put it this way. If you're already there with an account, then you can sign up for ours, become a member of ours for free. We can communicate together. You can share your feedback. We can follow up on the discussions that we have here. I think it's going to be really pretty awesome. We have a great opportunity to share things. We can hopefully bring some of our guests on there if they're willing. I don't twist arms. I just twist microphones. Anyways, I'm in a really good mood. I'm here to celebrate our 6-year anniversary. And it's pretty cool that it just happens to fall on the day that we record it's not on the day that we record. This is the whole month. But for the next recording that we do is actually going to be Halloween, because the next Fade into Film panel is going to be on Halloween, and we're going to have a full panel for that. It's going to be a lot of fun if everything goes right in the world and all that stuff, because there's never a guarantee to anything. This is 2023 after all, but we should be publishing that episode on October 31st. So what an awesome way to get your day started, or maybe end it with our podcast for Halloween after you OD on candy and sweets and gore. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say. Go to our Patreon, sign up for free. Let's have some fun there. Let's share some feedback. What are your thoughts about, the podcast? What are your thoughts about particular episodes? Also, I'm going to be recording some exclusive episodes just for patrons. You'll also get, some benefits like discounts to things like tickets for the film festival. We can talk about that. I'm really excited. I can't wait to get on the panel here. So let me go and step over there where the guys are waiting for me. You guys ready for this? It's going to be a lot of fun. It's our anniversary. Happy anniversary to you as well. If you've been listening, my gosh, if you've been listening since the beginning, just accept, I don't want to clunk my microphone, but accept this virtual hug. My arms are together right now, crossed, just hugging you right now, because wow, that's crazy. I love you all for being here and for listening. And I hope we get to meet in person. Hope you get to meet me in San Diego, because I'd love to meet you. Anyways, let's go talk to our panel. What do you say, huh? Because I'm rambling a lot. Ready? Let's go.
We are Fade into Film.
Happy birthday to us and you.
To SBP.
To the listeners. Hey guys, we blew that. So we're not going to do it. Happy anniversary, happy birthday to the SBP Podcast Mobile Filmmaking. Woohoo!
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Woohoo.
So I am here with Joey Min and Jason Rivera. We all know where Levi is, right? Levi is at a film festival, and so he cannot be with us right now. He's just bombarded with film festivals. He's becoming a famous celebrity right now.
And like, congratulations on him. He's doing his runs. That's like awesome.
He is doing so well. And you know what? I know he's going to listen to this, so we may as well tell him he definitely deserves it because he's been working so hard over the years to make a wonderful film. And he literally made a wonderful film. So, Levi, congratulations from all of us on this big birthday bash that we're about to have. And Ryan is out literally shooting a movie right now.
Nice.
So
Nice.
he had planned on doing it at a different, there's something about the weather, things happen. And so they shifted, and he just has to do it right now. So he's out there breaking legs.
The funny thing is, I never knew what that actually meant for a while until like a couple of years ago.
Really?
The whole break a leg.
It's usually on a theater, like a play.
But it kind of makes sense, right? I never knew, like, oh, so you get casted.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Sorry.
One of the things that I want to discuss on this birthday is that we opened up our Patreon for all the people here who are fans of Joey and Jason, Levi, Ryan. I'm going to try and force these guys to become free members of Patreon. Are you guys willing to do that?
Nice.
Okay.
Sure.
Please.
All right.
Please, guys.
And all of you guys listening, we can communicate, we can ask questions. Maybe we can bring up, some topics that you can ask a question about, and we can, give some of our patrons, the non-free ones, maybe we could give you guys shout outs during the show and things like that, like other podcasts do. What do you guys think about that?
That sounds great, actually.
It does,
Yeah. So
You guys considered like being, the joining on Patreon.
yeah, and we're going to have exclusive episodes anyways. So I think that should help a little bit. All right, enough of that because I'm really horrible at this. One of the other things that I wanted to do for this special episode now, 6 years, we started this. I put out a sample episode, which was very short, on October 6th. And then on October 27th, I published the real long episode. I think it was like an hour and something. And I couldn't believe it because when I was editing this thing, I was like, wow, this is actually, I'm doing this, and it was really hard for me to say, publish this. You're not going to believe what my rig was for the first one. First of all, I had my laptop in front of the window in the middle of the day, so it was not the best idea. But then I kind of had a similar rig than what I do now, but I was using my shotgun microphone.
Oh.
That was my first microphone. It's like I was just grabbing things that I had on the field. And I attached it with an XLR to the iRig and plugged it into my computer.
Cool.
So nice.
Yeah.
Being resourceful, right?
Mhm.
Just using what I had,
Yeah.
And so that was my first rig, and that's how this whole thing started. And I was really stoked when people that I would ask, hey, will you be on my podcast? That they were all saying yes. Like no one has, there's only been maybe 2 people that have said no. And they never told me, no, I'm just kidding. They're like, no, and we don't want to tell you why. We don't want, no, people are not that rude. But it was really cool to do this because I was meeting all these people from different countries very far away. Some of them were coming to the film festival, and it's really hard to find, an hour to sit down with somebody and record the whole thing on video. And then it's like talking heads. That's really boring. That long, So you have to fill up the video with stuff. And I was like, this is going to be too complicated to do, for interviews. So I would shoot people with my phone, and I would shoot these little short interviews, But there's like people everywhere, and everybody's excited, and they all want tacos, and and they want to get back to networking with each other, and it's just really hard to do. And I was like, that whole idea that I've been having for a long time wouldn't it be cool to have a podcast? But why would I want to have a podcast? The reasoning was not there. Like, you always need there has to be a need, right? Before you do something. Like, you don't go cooking food when you're not hungry unless you're feeding other people who are hungry, right? And so that need arose. And I was like, with a podcast, first of all, the internet connection, because it's just audio, doesn't have to be super incredible, right? Like it does with video.
Yeah.
And that means that I could talk to people in Australia. For some reason in Australia, the broadband there is poor. I don't know why, but it is. And they have issues with it. But I could record a podcast with, some of the filmmakers all the way out in Australia or in New Zealand or, in New York, wherever. And that's where that need came from. And here we are now doing this. And this is episode 162.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a voice inside of me going, gosh, and you were wondering if you could get through to 6 episodes because that was the going rate that everybody said, hey, if you can do 6 episodes of a podcast, then you're in. Like there's a number, right? Like people just quit after 6 or something, and that's it.
Why is that? After 6?
Like I don't.
It seems like there's anybody has a lot of things to talk about if they know their topic, right?
Yeah, I think if you have a focus of some sort, great segue, Joey. Like for example, you run. It's not a podcast, but you have a series of episodes that you're constantly shooting and publishing on YouTube. How could you find content all the time to keep that going?
That's Oh, okay. So that's a real question. Well, because I've talked about before the idea of art and content. Like content just feels very I think okay, let me pivot this, right? I think I'm able to continue doing what we're doing because I have core tenets of what I believe our channel is supposed to be. Like before, actually, like years ago, we used to upload a different video every day of different, of the weekdays, right?
But
And
was the
that was
content
crazy.
connected in some way? And when I say content, don't get it's you're an artist. Everything you create
Yes.
will always be artistic, even if it's content. Look,
Right.
it's
Because,
like writing
I
a
think
business
the-
letter, right? If you're an artist, there's going to be that
Right.
flair that's going to be you,
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I think it's just more of I think before when we first started, even though I always knew I wanted to be, I wanted to be a director. It's the people that I worked with, or at least make videos with. Not all of them were dedicated to become, an actor or like being in the craft, right? They were just my friends, and they found it fun to make YouTube videos, and it was, it was the only resource that I had, so I was just happy doing it, right? And with that, we did a lot of different things, like sketches and stuff like that. That was very much in line with the YouTube um I guess, audience or algorithm, back in the day. Uh, Being just obnoxious people on the internet making like sketches that the things that would cater to a younger audience, right?
Right.
Even though that wasn't what I really wanted to do. And the more that I wrote these sketches, they became definitely not that, right? And but I knew that those sketches that I was making, the stories didn't really pull or garner a lot of views because it's really not for children, which is like 93% of YouTube. So
True.
so we had other things that we would fill in every day. So we had like, and I don't know how we did this for years, but like we had martial art Mondays where we do like, it's kind of like it's just like a minute kind of demonstration of us doing our specific martial art. Like I do kung fu, and Steph does taekwondo, so like stuff like that. And we got other fighters or other martial artists that we know in the group to do that. Then Tuesdays we kind of did like this BuzzFeed thing where we would go out to different restaurants locally, like try out like like these restaurants or try out all these events. Then Wednesdays I would upload gaming videos. Thursdays was like our main sketches, and Fridays was vlogs. And we did that for like 2 years.
Wow.
I know,
That's a
it's
But you
lot.
insane.
stuck to
I
it.
like now I'm right. We did it. Then I realized like after a while, like what I believe, like quality by quantity, like it helped us learn our equipment, and like we developed
Hmm.
the workflow, and we understood our style. And because I did it for so long and so much, that I realized, oh, okay, where I really wanted to go, right? So now, like with our YouTube channel, like, and we're still able. Well, now we're not doing like the everyday thing, but we upload every Thursdays. But I never get burnt out simply because there is a goal and a vision, and a like the core tenets of our channel, and it's really just like our filmmaking journeys, like which is like our vlogs or whatever, and our actual films, shorts and feature films and web series, right? So like before, the sketches were one-offs, but now making long form content that spans like a couple of uploads, it's easier to tell like a story, and I don't get burned out like thinking of something every week. So that's the thing. I guess I feel like it was good for us to do the whole YouTube thing in the beginning to really develop who we are as a group and our vision and our brand and know who we are, right? So business side, we needed to make a lot of content to understand what content we wanted to do.
That
Like
makes sense, right?
artistic side, yeah,
Hmm.
artistic side, it's like I guess I always knew what I wanted to do, but I had to learn how to use the resources that I had.
That's
And yeah, that's it.
that's but see it's the you organized yourself too. So you
Mhm.
had
And I think that's
yeah.
really good thing about YouTube, like also putting something out there and people would criticize you, and you have to learn how to take that. Like, is that a good thing for you, a bad thing for you, like, and it's good. Like, I know I have thick skin, but at the same time, like, I understand. I also understand if what I'm doing is good or not, right? I definitely don't delude myself, be like, oh, I'm the greatest director in the world. Like, Jesus.
Gosh, there are very few
Right?
people like that, but they're out there. Unfortunately.
Oh, there's a lot. I don't know about a few people. There's a lot.
Well, there's I think because I live well the indie filmmakers that I've ever known for the most part are not pompous. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I've been very fortunate in that sense. You know.
Mhm.
But I know there are some egos out there of people who think they're all that, and but you can
Mhm.
tell them apart very very fast, and maybe
You mean like the people that would go to a film festival just to only watch their film? Those type of people?
right
Yeah, no.
right
We know. We know.
present their film right.
Right?
Yeah, it's I suppose that happens, but I think also it's a tradition that and sometimes people fall into a custom and they don't realize that the back end of that custom, right? Like for example, I learned a lot about different cultures. I learned that in Samoa you don't turn your back to an elder. That if you do that, it's disrespectful, right? And but here in America, people turn their backs to people all the time. There's no big deal, right? And it's like you're not offending anybody. I mean, you have to turn around for whatever reason. And there's little things like that, you know, people go, well, it's customary to go to a film festival, right? And this is what everybody does. As far as what I hear is that people only go there, or I witness that people only go there to see their own films and then they leave, right? That's just what people do. So I don't think a lot of people do the things that they do because they're trying to be rude. I think they just fall into the easy stroll of, you know, doing what they think they're, you know, other people are doing, which is supposed to be fine. But it doesn't feel good though, right? If you go to a film festival and people are only watching their own films and they walk away, you're like, wait, but watch mine too.
Right.
So
I mean,
it
that's the
doesn't come
thing,
across
right?
so well
yeah.
to the other attendees.
Yeah, it doesn't, you know, and then how do you, when you network with someone like Jason, like in our film festival, you all had something to say to each other because you had watched each other's films. So you take advantage of your presence and everybody's presence there to say, your film was awesome. How did you do this? And wow, I really like that about your film. And you like to hear it as much as you like to, you know, dish it out, right? To other people. And it kind of strengthens your experience as, you know, if you're going to say you're networking at a film festival, it takes it to another level, because now you have Jason, Levi, you know, just like in this, you know, this panel podcast, Joey, you had not met Levi and Jason or Ryan before, right? Even though these guys have met each other, but Jason, you had not met Ryan or Joey before. And now it's like you form this friendship, you know what I'm saying? And you follow each other and you know what each other does and you support each other. And I think that's a real, you know, depiction in a way of what happens in a film festival. The opportunity that you have, if you're gonna go to a film festival, you want to be all in. But at the same time, it's up to the people who program the film festival to kind of embrace that and make that possible, you know, as well.
Because like how else would you learn anything outside your own stuff? Like, you know, it's good to obviously keep I guess chipping away at like your own style and whatnot, but you know, like
I think people
there's
just
other
figure they'll
ideas
do
out
it
there.
online, which is
It's not the same
nope, it's not.
for me.
Jason, share your experience because you go to a film festival, right? You go, I mean, we don't have to, but I guess it's a good container to put it in with film festivals. But your experience, you know, a lot of people that go to film festivals, usually for sure, are the directors, right? Do the editors usually go? I think the cast usually really tries to.
Yeah, I was going to say usually there's actors.
Yep.
But like crew, it's rare that I meet other crew. And, you know, maybe like obviously the directors, that's usually about it.
Yeah. See, 'cause
Actually, I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right. I don't see a lot of crew people at people
It's
at
rare.
film festivals.
I am such a
least
weirdo
in my
because every
experience.
film I've ever worked on that I've gone to a film festival for, I was a DP once, right? But all the other times I was, you know, a scripty, you know, or something like that. And I remember just a few, I mean, for sure the actors always do, you know, always go.
Yeah.
But, you know, the director goes. Sometimes the DP goes. But I remember meeting, you know, not meeting, obviously we worked together, but at least briefly, you know, meeting the sound mixer, you know. And I remember, I actually do remember meeting the editor for this one feature film that I worked on at the film festival. This was in Temecula at the time. And I remember meeting the actual editor in person, whom I hadn't met on the set, because film editors don't usually go.
Yeah.
That is kind of crazy, though. That'd be kind of funny when, you just meet somebody from G&E, like, at a film festival, like, oh, wow. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Like, I wired that place.
Yeah, I suppose, we as filmmakers in this industry, I think part of the evolution of it is, especially with indies, right, to really make more of an effort to go to a film festival. And speaking from my point of view, I designed the programming to bring people together and keep them together, because Jason, you remember everybody was saying, oh my God, the way you programmed this was awesome. Because there were breaks in between. We opened up with a feature. Then we had, the short films. In between all these things, we had 2 sessions, 2 blocks of the short films, right? Between these, I was giving you guys enough room to meet each other. Plus, there was the kickoff on the first day where a lot of you guys came and met each other even before the first day, right, where we were screening films. So it created a camaraderie between people who were participating to really want to support each other.
Your festival, to me, felt more like a retreat, like a filmmaking retreat. Yeah. And I've been to several other festivals, mostly in LA, and I've never been to one that felt like that.
Yeah, you were one of the people that I quoted a couple of times in episodes. I think it was with Levi before you and I had our discussion in our podcast together, which was, you were one of the people that came up to me and said, wow. I mean, I remember the first thing you said to me was like, you looked at me and you had this huge smile, you were glowing. You were having such a good time, and I had people around me, and when they finally walked away and you were right there standing there, and by the way, Jason is tall. And you looked at me and you were like, wow. And I was like, wow, and you were like, this is incredible. I've been to a lot of film festivals, and this is so unique, so wonderful. And I loved that you said that. I know, but I
meant it. And you had this look on your face like you thought I was BSing you, but
no, I
really meant it.
I really, I enjoyed it so much. And here I am, and I'm thinking about the next one. And, I'm getting pretty excited about it because I know you're coming, and I'm pretty sure Joey's going to come too. And I think people are going to meet people and they're going to be so happy. And I was looking through, I was looking for one photo of this. When you look through, you have on your mind, I need this one photo. It's for an article that I'm writing. And I'm like, I just need this one photo. I remember this photo and I want it. And now I'm going through like 15 different hard drives. Oh, God. And I'm looking through thousands of photos. And I'm like, where is that one photo? But it's taken me 4 hours today because I keep finding all these other photos. And it's nostalgic. And there was this one of me where I'm looking at, I'm going to give him a shout out, Brian Hennings. He's in Australia. He came to our film festival 1 year, and then he came another year. And on the second year, he actually won. And he brought his wife on that one as well. So it was so appropriate. And he was surprised that he won. And he was like so happy. And the photographer caught my face looking up at him. And there's pure joy in my face. I mean, it's just like, I look so happy. You know what I mean? Because how cool is that? That's what makes me super happy, is seeing people at our film festival And sometimes I try not to think about that too much, but at other times, I guess I should say it, that this event over the years has brought people to realize a dream that they had of making a movie, and being celebrated for it around other people, and I think that's awesome.
It is.
Yeah. So Jason, let's talk about what we were talking about in a little more now. As we were talking about scoring music for films, in plural, especially now because you've done quite a few. Let's talk about that a little bit because since you and I spoke and discussed scoring films in the episode that we did, you've been scoring a lot. You're scoring high with projects. How's that going for you? And do you feel like you're on a momentum right now, even more so than before, because maybe coming out of the pandemic? I don't know, but just throw it out there. Give it to us.
Well, yeah, it's been a good year for me in terms of finding interesting and different projects to score. And, I've been doing it for several years, but for whatever reason, earlier in this year, I just kind of, in the beginning, when you're first starting out and you come out of, if you go to school for music or film scoring, you kind of have to figure out how to find work. And that was really challenging for me in the beginning. That was years ago, but for whatever reason, at the beginning of this year, I was just kind of like, I don't care if I get any projects. Like I just stopped caring. And as soon as I stopped caring, it's like everybody was knocking on my door to score something. And it's kind of like, if you're dating or something and you don't really care, you just give off that air, I guess, that energy that you're just kind of breezy and whatever happens.
You play
happens.
hard to get.
I'm not at that point yet.
My nonchalant attitude attracts.
It does.
Yeah.
It's weird. It does. At least in my experience.
Maybe sometimes the energy, right? Like now you're not in your own way anymore. And now.
I think so. And it's to the point now where, I have two projects now that are going on kind of at the same time. They're overlapping. And then I had another person kind of contact me a little bit out of the blue to score a feature early next year. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And I kind of just feel like a jerk because I've been so busy to even really respond to her properly. So I have to do that because I would love to do it.
Maybe she'll listen to this episode and she'll understand.
I hope so. I've been trying to tell her because I was just hopefully finishing up. I think I don't know if I have any more revisions on this horror film that I just scored, but I was doing really long days of just writing music for 10 or 11 hours straight.
Wow. If you're doing this for two simultaneous projects at the same, when I worked in video production, we had, 6 different productions basically going on at the same time. And people would ask, how are you able to just concentrate from this one and then break that and go to another one and things like that? And I guess it's practice. You know what I'm saying? You just shift. You know what I mean? But they were still, most of the time, were with the same sort of theme because it was for a particular organization, right? But in your case, you're talking about maybe doing a horror and a romance or something. Maybe those two go together.
That's exactly. Well.
Oh, really? Is that what you're doing?
Those are the two different genres that are overlapping. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like that zombie romance, was it Warm Bodies?
I know it, but I don't think I've seen it.
You haven't?
I have not seen it either.
Oh my God. I freaking love that movie. It's awesome. It's
I think that time, like that movie came out in a time where I didn't want to see love stories.
well, it's a movie about zombies, but it's not. It's a love story. It's very unique in the way that it's done, and it has a happy ending for a change. So if you haven't watched it, now you know. Depends on how twisted I am, what I consider a happy ending to be. Jason's laughing.
We'll learn something about you after we watch it.
Right? You'll be like, huh, everybody died. Susie is a weirdo. Yeah, that's pretty intense. And so a feature film is not something you usually score?
I haven't done a feature yet. I've done, well, the two that I'm doing right now simultaneously are longer form. I think they're both probably around the 20-minute mark, somewhere around there. But yeah, you know, it'd be fun to do something even longer for sure. Different kind of challenge.
That brings me back to Joey. Joey?
Yes.
I have a question for you. Are you ever going to get an inkling to do an actual feature with a phone?
I'd like to. I was actually talking to Steph about it. It's you know, like obviously we do have scripts, and you know, certain scripts might be like, hey, maybe that is a good, you know, phone feature. You know,
that's all you're gonna say.
It's not a planning. It's just I'm a very pre-production type of guy. That's why. So I just can't pull the trigger sometimes and just go for it. You know.
You know, there's a lot of people that I've met over the years, especially on LinkedIn. I don't know why, but on LinkedIn, there's a lot of people who have asked me over the years, you know, I got a screenplay. Do you know anybody who wants to buy it? And they're talking to me, who's like trying to push people to just make their own films using their smartphones. And, you know, I wonder about that because there's a lot of people who ask me this. They're very passionate about what they wrote, the story, the screenplay, and they want to see that made into a film. And it's kind of sad that these screenplays are just sitting somewhere, and they also get the urge to write more because, you know, you got to create. You're a storyteller. All these stories are coming to mind, and you write all these screenplays, and then they're just sitting there, and there's stories waiting to be made when, you know, you have a phone. And if you come to our film festival, you meet people who can turn these screenplays into films. We're dying to have, you know, more reason to do it. And how many screenplays do you have just standing by?
Like probably like 4 to 7, kind of. Wow. But like probably only 2 of them are features that we are planning to do. Obviously, it's just that resources, right? At that,
because one of them is like Lord of the Rings, right?
No, actually, well, I don't want to talk about it yet. But well, the thing is, right now that we're this feature that I'm trying to finish, but I can't seem to because there are like random gigs that just pop up that I already kind of have like, you know, I promised to already, even though I didn't think it was gonna happen. So like we have this thing like I guess we're next month. Actually, yeah, next month in the first half of the month I wouldn't be able to be on the one of the podcasts simply because like I would be working for like the month of November with like in Atlanta, and I won't be able to like record with you guys. But anyways, but I'm just saying like I don't know.
But in the woods, it's okay.
Yeah, but
as long as the time zone's same.
It's just at least those. It's like, you know, yeah. It was like, you know, an 8-hour day, but this is like a feature for. It's a Samuel Goldwyn film, so it's kind of it's a bigger production, and it looks like I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, so, 14, 16-hour days. That's
so
cool.
Is this like a romantic or a drama or something?
It's an action comedy.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I can't, you know, Samuel Gold, but how old is this company? Because they're up there.
Samuel Goldwyn is basically the the father of indie filmmaking. If you think about like
Hmm.
in terms of a production company, right? Because it's not one of the major Hollywood productions, but it's one of the 8 major indie kind of production companies.
Did they do
You know what I
TV
mean?
shows too?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Because they've been like Samuel Goldwyn, I believe was it Samuel Goldwyn and like 2 other productions, I forgot what, are the ones that started like, basically like indie productions, right? In terms of like studios, right? That is in Hollywood back in the
Yeah.
whenever, whenever it was made.
Back in the 1600s.
So,
uh,
when like Hollywood was basically run by the mafia, right?
right.
So
That was in the so yeah, technically it started in the late 1800s. So then it was after they had sound, right? So it was probably in the
yes.
1900s. So the 1900s, we're like talking like the 1900s was like, oh, that was like 100 years ago because we're in the 2000s. Is that how we say it now?
Gosh.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, at least I'm able to admit it. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but here I am, and you're listening.
It's a podcast. There
Hey.
we go. I don't know how anybody can't go past 6 episodes. Yeah. But
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So you have, and so all the other screenplays are shorts.
Like the other ones, yes, definitely. Like like short, or technically they're still kind of like features because it's 40 minutes,
Yeah,
right? Isn't that
that's
what's
where it's
considered to be a feature?
considered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although,
And some of them are kind of like written in the style of like web series or whatnot. But eventually I know I'll have the resources to do them, and I'll definitely find the actors and whatever that I need. So yeah.
that's
But like,
cool.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're working on a feature film right now. It's like it's close to done. If I just had the time to just sit down and edit the rest
So it's
of
already
it.
been shot.
Yeah, it's already been shot. I'm literally at like the last stage. It's kind. I think I was like talking about it before. It's a film made in mostly in VR.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
Yeah, I
like
remember you mentioned that.
jumping the technology a little bit, because we actually had to go into VR and then create like cameras and like rigs and cranes and jibs and dollies in VR
wow.
for these like non-realistic, like the cameras aren't even real, right? So but that's the funny part, right? So, and it's like we've done it. So part of it, and I think I need to ADR people. I need to like just get their voices, and just getting that to that point was like so difficult, simply because like it was a good idea, I thought, but then because of the technological barriers that I would run into, since nobody, I mean, there's people that have done it, but very, very few. Because there's a lot of documentaries that have been made through VR, but not like truly like a true narrative story kind of feature.
Yeah.
Like we're not the first, but obviously it's still kind of very hard. And
Mm.
now just trying to do this and getting my team to like be also acclimated with filmmaking, but inside, like getting crew into the VR is like it was. I don't even know how to explain
Yeah, I'm
the
sitting here
difficulties.
trying to even visualize it as kind of. I guess
Right.
we're just gonna have to watch this film and experience this film, right?
Because like I would run into problems that no one has ever had a problem before, because this is like one of those, obviously it's like something new, so I had to figure that out myself.
Yep.
Like, oh my god, such a headache.
Wow.
It's like take a couple of Tylenol.
you can hear the stress in my voice, and like, so I thought the rest of the year I'd be able to like finish this, and then like gigs that I promised that I signed contracts like at the beginning of the year for. Now I'm here and I'm like, oh, I just want to finish my movie.
Do you feel like sometimes like you can't move on into another project and
Definitely. This is, we usually, even for like, we had a previous feature and it took us about like 6 months to like finish, right? And and
That's
that
not
was
bad, Joey.
that was definitely not bad, right? But this one, it's been like a year and like a couple of months, and I never thought this it would feel this bad. Like just like working on this project for so long, and simply because starting with just doing shorts, like it's sketches to shorts to like web series, now being able to actually write like feature film length stories that I think is okay,
Yeah.
like it the longer it takes, I realize like, oh my god, like like it's a different mindset
But
of
it's
a
kind of like what you
creator.
were saying before. I mean, you've got this calendar, right? Mondays you do
Hmm.
your Monday martial arts, Tuesdays you do
Hmm.
this, Fridays you do that. And
Yeah.
so, and this happens every week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's different though. Like as a person that now that I'm writing feature films, like it's not like I think everybody starts like it's easy to think of a 1 minute story, then a 3 minute
Yeah.
story, then a 10 minute one, right? And you keep on going. It's like I don't think anyone could just write a
Well,
feature
you've got the
film.
whole layer on top of that, is what I'm trying to say. Now you've got this feature
Oh yeah,
film layered on top of this regimen that you have created for yourself.
yeah. So and I guess it's the same thing with Jason. I thought that I was like, I'm not gonna care about that stuff. I'm just gonna really focus on my own stuff. Now everybody like it feels like a dozen jobs just opened up for my group and and we're like, I guess we should take it because we need the money.
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Patreon
yeah.
for Joey too. So
Please,
join us on Patreon where these guys will be, and then you can join them on their Patreon.
please.
And we share the love. Um, you know, Jason, it's kind of the same for you too, right? Because now you're going to do a feature after doing these shorts. Do you also feel like it's going to be hard for you if you're doing short film scores and then you're doing that feature on top of that?
Yeah, I think one of them will because I started basically scoring it as part of the pre-production process in this one film. I don't think it's going to actually be shot until early next year.
Mm.
So, and then
But that's like 3 months away.
Yeah.
It's not
And I'm
that far
assuming
off, right?
that, I mean, there have been some films that I scored that I didn't have any revisions, but I can't assume that every time, so I'm assuming, there might be some revisions and maybe even some new things that need to be written once the film is shot and starts to being put together, edited.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that particular film could overlap with the feature that, I mean, it's not set in stone that I'm going to do it, but I'd like to.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I suppose there is a chance they could overlap. And the thought of that is very stressful. Thank you, Susie.
You're so welcome. Here, have a piece of this birthday cake. Oh, I'm so sorry. No,
it's okay.
I've done this. There are other founders for film festivals that every year they go, they're directing also the film festival, and they're like, this is the last year I'm doing this. I'm not doing this another year. And this is our 13th annual edition. And I stress, it is a lot of stress because usually things go wrong. There have been times when things have gone to the point to where it's like, wow, are you kidding me? This is it. This is the end, And like even when we had COVID, right? Where I had already had, we had I think our 10th one or something like that. I can't remember, but it was like, no, something always ends up working out. It's like Joey and for you, you've worked with different films so many times and things happen. But somehow things always sort of come together at the last minute, but they don't come together because you're chilling and going, everything's going to work out just fine. It's like it comes together because you stress out and you work really hard and you're begging for things to get better and to work out. And that's why we go, I can't believe I'm doing this again. You know, and you're volunteering to do it again because no one's forcing you, not in this industry. You know, nobody forces you to go out there and make a film unless you're listening to this podcast and you know that Susie's trying to push you to make a movie. I don't really care what you make it with. I think storytellers really got to get those stories out. But I'm saying, you know, why not grab your phone and be a part of this community here, and make a film with your smartphone camera. So, yeah, it's a lot of stress, but this is why I always say, you know, I think I probably said it with you, Joey, in a couple of the episodes that we were in together, where I said, you know, it takes a special kind of people to make it in this industry. And I don't mean make it like successful, but to want to keep at it, to want to keep being involved.
Because I think I was like thinking about that too. It's like I after a while, I think you realize that there are different metrics of success for different people. And you know, if anybody were to ask me, like, you know why I'm doing all of this, because like everything that I gain, like any financial gain that I get from making my movies goes back into my movies, right? So it's like, you know, there is a reason why I'm doing this if I'm not making money off of it, right? And if it's not to better my craft, then what else, right?
It's a really good depiction of what humanity really is about, because a lot of people think, you know, humanity is, you know, being with your family, having fun, going to the nightclubs, going out to restaurants, cooking, hanging out, you know, and then you do your job for somebody else, right? And that's how you make all the other things happen. And so it's very hard for people on that sphere, that part of the sphere in this world, to think that there are people like us who have this need to work really hard at something that somebody's not paying us to do.
That's true. I think people don't see the merit of it unless they were part of it, right?
And
I'm laughing because
you're laughing.
There was a long period of time, especially when I was like just kind of starting out and learning and really getting into it, where I wouldn't hang out with anybody who wasn't some kind of creative on purpose, because I think most people cannot understand what you just said, you know, and I wasn't willing to like be discouraged, or I just wanted to be around other creatives, you know.
And it feels like they're being negative when they start, you know, why are you doing this? Why would you do this? What is in it for you? How are you making money? How are you, you know, why don't you stop and do something that it's very hard to get along with people when you're doing this, which is part of why I think, you know, like what I said before, it takes a special kind of people where it really does become a community, and you need that support from each other, which is why, you know, doing a little roundabout, I created the film festival so that people have that feeling of belonging, you know, with each other.
Camaraderie between, yeah. Because like I think though, as creatives, I think the one thing that we do have is like honesty. Like we're very much honest with ourselves, knowing why we do certain things, right? Like um I think a lot of people that do find their metric of success is because they've been honest with themselves, knowing that, like, say, yeah, I'm not going to make money from this, but I really love what I do. And eventually, after so many years, they're like really good at what they do and they start making money off of it, you know? But then there's other people that are at first you believe or you think that they're also creatives, but then you find out, they're only in it for something else. I guess, like, I don't know. I'm not calling anybody out, right? But I guess I'm sure this is a very also a common example. Like, I knew somebody who was like an actress, and always wanted to act or whatever. But then, instead of like actually working on acting, this person did everything else, everything everything that was trending, I guess, in terms of like, social media, like, type of stuff, right? And none of, obviously, like, she didn't work on any skill set,
So she wanted the
and nothing
fame.
worked.
She was looking for
She
fame.
wanted the
Yeah.
fame, right? Even though it's like, oh, I wanna learn how to act, or like, I want to be an actress. I'm like, okay, do you have any like idols? Do you have any like people that you admire? No, I don't really watch a lot of movies. And I'm like, wait, what? That makes no sense.
But they
to
know
me,
all the celebrities' names and all the gossip and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And,
But they don't know the work.
Right.
They don't know the craft. Like, okay, well, what movies have you seen her in? Like, oh, that very, that's why. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, it's, yeah. So that's why what Jason was saying, like, like, surrounding ourselves with like-minded people. It might not be of the same uh genre or medium that you're doing, but like, once you meet another creative, it's, you understand what they're going through, and it's like, that's that part, right? So yeah,
There's a camaraderie.
Yeah, and that's why I think, the part about, the money, right? It's like, well, no one person is going to give you $1,000, but there might be 1,000 people who can give you each $1.
Yes, the 1,000 true fans,
right?
concept. Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's why I'm starting to be able to push the Patreon thing a little more, as this grows, because I feel like, if you're listening to this, and you've got $1, and then you say to your friend, listen to this podcast, and if they like it, why don't you give them $1? You're not giving a lot, but the more
Right.
people that give a lot, not a lot, that give $1 or $5 even a month, for God's sake, that's like cents a day, right? But the more people that do that, the more, as far as a community is concerned, the more that you're supporting the art of creating. Because that way, Joey, instead of having to do his regular job, can concentrate and focus more on this. And if someone gives you that for you to create your stuff and helps you and supports you in that same way, the more that you can do what you're wanting to do as well.
Right. I mean, I completely agree with that. But like, it's also like, it's, the thing is, like, even if nobody gave me $1, right? Like, I know I'd be doing this till, my last breath,
Yeah.
right? Like, and there's a reason why I have like 3 jobs on top of the other stuff that I do, simply because, like, I love it, and and I'm happy that there's even like one single soul out there that actually appreciates what I do.
Look, if you're an entrepreneur and you believe in something and you're creating something and you're just eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for like 3 years, you know what I'm saying, before it finally gets finished, but then you're making $1 million, you feel like you have that goal. Now, with art and filmmaking and, if you're writing books, creating, you're painting, whatever it is that you're doing, it's different because you're not seeing, you're not an entrepreneur looking at that. You're not plotting it in that way. You're not you don't have this strategy where you're going, but at the end of here, I'm going to start making. So it's just me surviving until I get to here. We don't have that. Our horizon keeps moving from us, and we never really reach a horizon in that sense. For us, the horizon, instead of being external, is more internal. If that makes any sense, on the gratitude that we get from being in that process of creating, as opposed to an entrepreneur who's creating a product per se, where they're aiming to see that product being finished.
Yeah, I get it, definitely.
It's a different mindset.
Yeah,
definitely,
for sure.
And that's why it takes special people. Yeah. So
the civilians won't understand.
The civilians, we are warriors. Well,
I think Joey used the correct word though for me too. Is though he used the word love.
Yeah.
And so if you love what you're doing, it will sustain you.
Oh, I always
when
think
everything else is falling apart around you.
Art is very much connected to the heart.
Right. Because like all of this, I mean, obviously I've been doing this for a very long time. It doesn't for a very long time it didn't pay the bills, but it definitely fed the soul. And the more that I worked on like being away from it all, it hurt me more than taking a cut of of money, and just working on like even these little short films, like anything that I could do, like just filming like a little short film with Legos and remote control cars.
So
was
cute.
like it made me feel so much better than it was not to do it, so
Yeah, I have days, like me writing, I for a long time all I was doing was writing, articles for the podcast guests. That's the other thing I do. Every podcast guest, I write an article for them. Like Joey and Jason know this. If you're listening because you've been a guest, you know that I do this. So I really add more stress to myself. But what my other kind of writing, which is more personal, I was feeling like I was lacking something, and for a long time. And then all of a sudden I went, I opened up the Substack thing, which I decided I was going to make somebody advised me, people want to know more about you personally, and I'm like, who's these people? So just trust me, And so I was like, okay. So, and as soon as I started writing my first article there, my first story, it was so personal to me. I talk about my grandmother and why I'm so, into storytelling and all that. And I felt so good after. And I was like, that's what I was missing. That's what I needed, And so I missed that, I've been writing when I was a kid and a teenager and everything, but I wasn't writing articles. You know what I'm saying? I was just writing, either made up stories or thoughts and concepts and things like that. And that was something I needed to do, and I'm not doing it because, I write a lot of stuff, but I don't publish everything that I write. It's the process, and it makes you feel good. And then there are times I'm like, I want to make some music. I'm not Jason. Don't try to hire me for that. Hire Jason, please. But I'll grab GarageBand, open up all the loops and stuff, and I'll start creating something there. And I've spent my entire weekend creating stuff because I'm in the mood for that. I need it. It's like when your body calls for, I don't know, spinach or something. You ever get a craving for something like that? Water. There you go. Something that your body is craving or your brain is craving. Like I want to watch. I feel like just kicking back on the couch and watching a long feature movie. And for whatever reason, this genre in particular, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a need.
Yeah,
an itch.
Yeah,
an itch. Yeah, it's a need.
It is.
Scratch that itch, guys. Make your movies. So, I don't want to say, I'm trying not to say any last words because it sounds so post-mortem or something. But is there anything else you guys would like to share with our listeners?
Joey?
I guess I'll repeat what I said earlier. I think
the whole thing?
quality by quant.
The whole thing?
What's no, just
I'm
the
just
one thing,
kidding.
like the quality by quantity. I know that sounds weird, but I guess it's like the idea where I think I've been seeing a lot of artists say that they don't do the work unless they feel inspired or motivated to. But how can you work? How can you deliver and execute your vision if you don't have the skill set to back it up, right?
Mm.
So sometimes it's like I think with art at the same time, if you do love it, right? Like it's a you got to show up even the days when it doesn't feel great to do art because you practice your craft. And then one day when you are inspired, when you are motivated, you have put in the time for you to have practiced and execute your vision exactly the way that you want it, right? So quality by quantity or quality through quantity. I guess that's what I mean.
I think that makes sense though, too, especially with something like this, as opposed to, like I feel like having an ice cream. I was trying to differentiate a long time ago between, you always hear people, usually business people, stop dreaming, or they equate dreaming and wishing as being the same thing. It's not. To have a dream is not the same thing as wishing that you could have pizza for dinner. It's two different things altogether. And there are a lot of people who think, dreaming is not a good thing. I know there's a lot of parents out there, especially from some of my friends and my own, even when I was growing up, who would discourage me through art. Art is not, stop dreaming that you're going to be an artist. Stop dreaming, it's not a wish. A wish and a dream are two separate things. A dream is something that's inside you that lives with you. And I believe it's alive, it's like a live thing that after some time, right, that dream turns into passion. But a wish is very, very temporary, very shallow in a way, as opposed to a dream, which is deep. Jason, what have you got to say?
Man, you're going to make me follow that up. That was good.
That was good, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was. When you use the word dream and the way you explained it, it just sort of reminded me of my version of that is that I feel like ever since I was a little kid, I sort of had this force field around me of music. And it wasn't really a dream per se in any kind of tangible sense, but I realized as I grew older and through the years that sort of energy field of music and sound and ideas and inspirations always stuck with me, no matter where I was, where I lived, or what I was up to. It sort of was always there. So I think for some people, that's just who they are, and they have that impulse to make stuff. And I think what Joey said about quality through quantity makes so much sense. Like how else are you going to have the voice to be able to say something unless you try things and make mistakes and make really terrible work for a while? You kind of just have to go through that. One day it'll come in handy, like for example, in film scoring, you don't have time to wait for the muses to speak to you. Usually, you just have to sit down and write and make stuff and write, and hopefully you hit something that's good. And because you've made, hopefully you've done a lot of terrible work through the years to get to where you are, you can write fast because you have a better sense of how to handle your tools and how to tell stories.
Wow, and that leads to your passion, which is your foundation. You can't build a house without a foundation.
Definitely. True. Yeah, it's the foundation. Exactly.
Well, it looks like, for this 6-year birthday I've learned a few things about how to talk about things, huh?
Definitely. Yeah. Exactly. Look at that. Like that's like a powerful ending.
Yes.
Right?
I think so.
Well, happy birthday. Thanks for being a part of our podcast, everyone. And thank you to everyone who's listening, who's ever been a guest in our podcast. Thank you. And that includes these guys right here and the other panelists for Fade Into Film. And I'm just going to say something that's going to sound really corny, but I think you know it, that it comes from the bottom of my heart. I truly love you. So that's why I do what I do, and that's where my foundation and my passion comes from. So this time, I'll say it. Good night, everybody, and thank you.